Streaming for 5 hours last time somebody typed was an hour and a half ago and it was me. Yeah, no, I mean, Sag, my guy. It's, you know, it's the reality of streaming sometimes. Well, I still have 2 hours left streaming. I mean, you know, the thing is you got to enjoy streaming for you. You know what I mean? You got to enjoy the part that you're doing. Because the part that chat does, as even though it's like, for me, you know, it's like, it's my favorite part too. Don't get me wrong. The chat interaction is like why streaming's so cool. But this is why it's important that you have to like what you're doing, like your part of it, you know? Because sometimes the viewers aren't there. Sometimes chat isn't there. And, you know, that's when it's just you and your part. And it's like, if you don't like that, then it's gonna, those moments are really gonna suck. The other thing is that when somebody does finally come to your stream, if you do like what you're doing on your own, then it's gonna be immediately a much more like, it's gonna be a much like warmer and like, just like more chill environment, like when they do come through, you know what I mean? Also, keep in mind, you don't have to stream. If you're like bored and like nobody's coming through and you just kind of want to chill, like, you know, keep in mind, like that's always an option. But if you really, you know, if you're enjoying it, then hey, enjoy it until somebody comes and enjoys it with you. Do you make music? Yeah. Yeah, we're working on a crunker song right now, working on a album for like a solo album. It's going to be my second release solo album, at least full length. It's more like a modernized composer is how I would describe myself. I mean, I actually wouldn't say that. Like if somebody asked what I do, I wouldn't say, well, I'm a bit of a modernized composer. Like I wouldn't say that. I would just say that I'm a musician. But if we want to get into like the specifics, that's pretty much what it is. I hate music theory, and that's why I play drums. See, I don't really know a lot of music theory myself. You inadvertently learn a lot of it, just because it's kind of hard not to. It's like, it'd be hard to learn zero music theory if you're writing a bunch of songs. But it's also not that hard to not learn a ton of it. If that makes sense. Like, the way that I would put it is music theory is what happens when people want to understand what a composer did. The composer doesn't have to understand that. At all, really. Now, they oftentimes do, but they don't necessarily have to, if that makes sense. It's like theory happens if we want to, like, when somebody does something that works, they could have been like for instance, imagine like a remote tribe, and like they don't know anything about music theory at all. They know zero about what we've contextualized as this is how music works. And yet they still play music. And yet most of their music does abide by a lot of music theory that we do already know about. But they didn't have to understand that to hear it. You know what I mean? Like, they just had to do it. And then if we wanted to then, if they did something that isn't already within music theory, then we would, if we wanted to understand it, if we like, somebody was like, oh, I like this song and I want to know why I like this song, then the music theorists come together to figure out why what they did worked. But it's not like the guidebook for learning what works, if that makes sense. Who is that cardboard person next to your speaker? That's Gordon Ramsay. That's my dad. Bro. I wish. Why do I have Gordon Ramsay? Because he looks over us and makes sure that we're striving to levels of perfection never before even considered. And then when we don't hit that perfection, I look over and I can just tell that he's calling me a wanker in his head. And I'm just like, oh, sorry I've disappointed you, Gordon. You fucking Muppet. Still here? Glad to see you, Cash. Get the edge card. You fucking Yankee danky doodle shite. That is a real line, by the way. I love Gordon Ramsay though, dude. Gordon Ramsay, he's so funny, like, and he's so good at what he does. And I know that a lot of the time, he might not be trying to be funny. That doesn't change anything for me. Whether he's trying to be funny or not, he's fucking hilarious. He's so funny. Shit fucking kills me, dude. This song is called Sunset Lover by Petit Biscuit. Funny story about this song. So, I started dating this girl, right? And like, she was like, you know, she was whatever, really. But as we were talking, like, after I think it was like our first date or something like that, she was like, oh, like, you know, I'm listening to a song called Sunset Lover by Petit Biscuit. Like, you should check it out. And, like, via text. So I, like, looked it up. I was like, ooh. This is a vibe. You know, I was feeling it. And so then, you know, I found out, like, she was just kind of a sleazy character, you know what I mean? Well, so the sleazy is not the right word. Like, she didn't do anything whorish that I know of. But just kind of like a... sort of a not so great person, you know? And so, like, it wasn't really a big deal. It wasn't like a big emotional breakup or anything like that. It was all quite amicable and just kind of dissolved or whatever. Because we didn't really date for that long. We went out like 3-4 times, something like that. And then it just kind of was like, psh, whatever. But I oftentimes think back about that and be like, you know, if it wasn't for this song, I would say that I got nothing good out of that relationship. This song is the one thing. It's the one thing. Now I have it. Now it's a part of my life. And I can enjoy this song. Now it's all worth it. I didn't really get skinned that bad by it, you know? I just get to listen to a dope song now. Kind of sweet how it works out that way sometimes. So that's the story behind the song. Can you blow O's? Depends on how still the air is in my room right now. It's a lot easier to do it with like a bigger mod, but you can still do it with tinier ones, but the vape is less dense and so it's a little bit more sensitive to the air. There's a couple. But I used to like vape on those like big mods, and when I had those, I would practice vape tricks a little bit more often. And I used to be able to get like jellyfish and like all that fun stuff. One time, I went out on a, there's a lake, like a small, it's more like a pond near my house. A little ways away, you know. But one time in the winter, most winters, like in the dead of winter, it like freezes over. So one time in the middle of winter, me and a bunch of friends, we were all like fucked up probably and stuff. And we were like fucking around at night. And so we decided to go walk to the lake and walk out on the frozen lake. It was pretty badass. We were like fucking around out there. And then we basically I took my vape and while we were out there and I like, you know, did like a jellyfish where it's basically you like blow an O and then you kind of push it from behind to kind of like expand it as you like let more vape from your mouth go into the O. And usually you'll kind of build some momentum by like popping an O through another O, and then that creates like a little bit more momentum, and then you kind of push it, and then you seep a little bit more vape from your mouth into the O, and it like goes around the outside and makes like a little jellyfish shape. And so in the cold, the air is like, it's a lot, you know, it's just gonna, it's like, it collects more. I don't know what to say, like it just becomes more dense. Like the colder it is, I guess that makes sense. I don't know. I don't really understand the science of how it works, but basically vape gets crazy when you blow it out into the cold air. And so I popped this gigantic O. I popped it through another one, even bigger. It's building momentum. I seep the vape into the front of it, and I make this jellyfish, I shit you not, probably like my whole arm span. Maybe a little bit smaller. And it fucking cruises across this gigantic, like, or this fucking thing. It cruises across the frozen lake in the middle of the night. And it probably goes a good 20 feet into the air. And it was insane. And then, as we're out there, because keep in mind, it's probably like 1 o'clock in the morning, if not later. We like look over and we see some figures in the dark. And what does it turn out to be? You know, we get spooked. We're like, oh shit. We start looking, we're like, what is that? Guys, what? You see that? It looks like it's looking over at us. Oh shit, is it moving in? You know, like, we start getting real spooked. And as it turns out, it's just other people doing the exact same shit. That's the thing. It was just some guys. And like we scurried off and we like got all scared and we like, you know, zoomed all home and we were like, oh shit. But then we were like, wait a minute. The thing that we were scared of in the woods was us. Not literally, mind you. It wasn't literally us. It was other people. But they were just doing the same thing we were. We were also people out in the middle of the night hanging out on the frozen pond. So then we were like, what? Why were we scared of them? They were doing the exact same thing as we were. And then we realized, like, oh, like, we're kind of freaks. We were like, oh, that's freaky that they'd be out there at night. Yeah, it kind of was. Kind of was freaky that they were out there at night. What's going on, Nuke Boy? So that's the story of the time that I blew the biggest jellyfish of my life. Anyways, boys, I appreciate you, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. It's been dope. Peace out.